The engine died 3 blocks from nowhere. One moment I was driving. The next, the car was making a sound like metal grinding against bone. Then silence. The kind of silence that feels heavy. Final. I coasted to the side of the road, looked up through the windshield, and felt my stomach drop. A church. Small. White clapboard. The kind you see in New England postcards. St. Catherine's, according to the sign out front, and in the parking lot, dozens of cars, people in formal clothes. White flowers everywhere. A photographer setting up equipment. A wedding. I turned the key. Nothing. Tried again. The engine clicked but wouldn't turn over. Smoke started coming from under the hood. Perfect. I got out of the car, popped the hood. Smoke billowed out. I waved it away and stared at the engine like I had any idea what I was looking at. My phone had 1 bar of service. I called Leo, the mechanic I'd used since moving to Massachusetts 3 years ago. Leo's Automotive. Leo, it's Cassandra Monroe. My car just died on Route 117. Can you come? Where on 117? In front of St. Catherine's Church. The one having the big wedding today. There's a wedding happening, yeah. Whole town's talking about it. Pretty fancy affair from what I heard. I can get there in about an hour. Swamped today. An hour. Best I can do, Cass. Sorry. Okay. Thanks. I hung up, leaned against the car, looked at the church. Guests were arriving. Women in pastel dresses, men in suits. Someone was directing parking. The photographer was testing his camera. Everything looked expensive, coordinated, perfect. I should have felt annoyed. Stuck here, missing my afternoon. But the world tilted. Victoria's getting married. When? Why didn't anyone tell me? Delilah looked genuinely distressed. She said you two weren't speaking. That you wouldn't want to come. But I thought, I assumed she'd at least told you. She didn't tell me anything. We haven't spoken in 6 months. But a wedding. She's getting married and nobody thought to mention it. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I thought you knew. I looked past her at the church. At the white flowers. The photographer. The guests filing in. My sister was in there somewhere. Getting married. And I'd found out because my car broke down in front of the church. How long have they been together? About 18 months, I think. They work together. He seems nice. Very successful. 18 months. I'd been erased from my family for 6 months. But Victoria had been planning this for a year and a half. Had gotten engaged. Planned a wedding. Sent invitations to everyone except me. Who's the groom? His name is Blake. Blake Hartwell. The ground disappeared. What? Blake Hartwell? He works with Victoria at her company. They're both in marketing. I think I know who he is. Delilah looked at me. You know him. We worked together. 3 years ago, at the agency. Blake Hartwell. The man who'd brought me coffee every morning. Who'd stayed late with me on projects. Who'd almost kissed me in the empty office one Friday night, and then pulled away saying the timing wasn't right. Blake who'd quit suddenly. Said he needed to figure things out. Disappeared from my life completely. Blake was marrying my sister. Cassandra, are you okay? I wasn't okay. I was standing on the side of the road watching my sister marry someone I'd cared about. Someone who'd vanished from my life and reappeared in hers. How did they meet? I'm not sure. Victoria mentioned a conference. I think, why, a conference? 18 months ago. Right after Blake left the agency. Right after he left me. Cassandra, maybe you should come inside. Sit down, I can get you some water. I wasn't invited. That doesn't matter. Your family, apparently that doesn't matter either. A car pulled up behind mine, a taxi. The driver honked. Lady, you can't park here. You're blocking the road. I ignored him. Stared at the church doors. They were open now. I could see inside. Rows of white chairs. More flowers. Candles. And at the front. Standing by the altar. I saw him. Blake. Navy suit. Hairstyled. Looking nervous. Looking like a groom. He turned slightly. Looked toward the back of the church. Waiting for his bride, my sister. I should leave. Should get in the taxi. Have him drive me anywhere else. Let Victoria have her perfect day without me. But my feet wouldn't move. Cassandra, she took him. What? Victoria took him. Blake and I were close. Really close. And then he disappeared. And now he's here. Marrying her. Delilah's face softened. Oh, honey. Did she know? When they met, did she know about me and Blake? I don't know. I'm sorry. The taxi driver honked again. Longer this time. I have to move my car, I said. My voice sounded far away. Let me help. No, stay. Go to the wedding. I'll wait for Leo. Cassandra, I can stay with you. Go. Aunt Delilah. Really, it's fine. She looked at me for a long moment, then squeezed my arm. I'm sorry for all of this. She walked toward the church. I watched her go. Watched her disappear inside. Then I looked back at my car. At the smoke still coming from the engine. At the taxi driver getting out to yell at me. And I made a decision. I walked to the church. Not inside. Just close enough to see through the open doors. Close enough to watch without being seen. The taxi driver was shouting something. I didn't hear him. All I heard was the organ starting to play. The guests stood, turned toward the back, and Victoria appeared. My sister, she looked beautiful. Of course she did. Long white dress. Simple but elegant. Veil that caught the light. Bouquet of white roses. She was smiling. That practiced smile she'd perfected over 32 years. The one that said everything was perfect. Everything was under control. My father was beside her. Warren Monroe, looking proud, looking like he was giving away his favorite daughter, because he was. They started walking down the aisle, slowly, ceremonially, everyone watching, everyone smiling. Victoria didn't look around, didn't search the crowd, didn't wonder if I was there because she knew I wasn't, because she'd made sure of it. I watched her walk toward Blake, watched him watch her, watched the love on his face, the love that might have been for me, if timing had been different, if Victoria hadn't been there to take what I'd almost had. The taxi driver was beside me now. Lady, seriously, you need to move that car or I'm calling the cops. Call them, I said, not looking at him, not looking away from the church. What, call the cops? Tell them my car broke down and I'm watching my sister marry my ex-boyfriend at a wedding I wasn't invited to. See what they say. He stared at me. Are you serious? Very. He walked away, muttering. Inside the church, Victoria reached the altar. My father kissed her cheek, stepped back, sat down next to my mother, Patricia Monroe, sitting in the front row, dabbing her eyes with a tissue, looking emotional, looking like the mother of the bride. She hadn't called me in 6 months, hadn't asked how I was, hadn't wondered why I wasn't there. Or maybe she had wondered, and just didn't care enough to fix it. Blake took Victoria's hand. They turned to face the priest, Father Dominic. I recognized him from the few times I'd visited this church with Delilah. He was old, kind-looking, the type who believed in the sanctity of marriage. He started speaking. I couldn't hear the words, but I knew them. The standard ceremony. Dearly beloved, gathered here today, joining together. I should leave. I should get in that taxi. Go home. Forget this ever happened. But I couldn't move, because something was wrong. Something beyond the obvious betrayal, beyond the stolen relationship and the family that chose her over me. Something about the work. Victoria didn't work in marketing 3 years ago. She was still in school, still figuring things out. But now she was at a marketing company, with Blake, who'd worked at my agency, where I was a designer. My designs. The portfolio I'd spent years building, the one that had gotten me clients, recognition, the one I'd been so proud of. Where was it now? I pulled out my phone. 1 bar of service, opened LinkedIn with shaking hands, searched for Victoria Monroe. Her profile loaded slowly. Profile picture of her looking professional, confident. Title, Marketing Director at Hartwell & Associates. Hartwell Blake's last name. They'd started a company together. I scrolled down, looked at her work samples, the portfolio images she'd posted. And felt the world stop. They were mine. Every single image, every design, every campaign concept, work I'd created. Work I'd copyrighted. Work with my signature buried in the metadata dot, all posted under her name. Victoria hadn't just taken Blake. She'd taken my work, used it to build a career, to impress him, to create a life, and nobody knew, because nobody looked close enough. Because nobody thought to ask if the golden child might be stealing from the film invisible one. I stood there staring at my phone. At the proof of what she'd done. Inside the church, Father Dominic was saying something about love, about commitment, about building a life together based on trust. Trust. The word made me laugh. A sharp, bitter sound. The taxi driver came back. Look, I called a tow truck for you. Okay, they'll be here in 20 minutes, but I gotta go. Good luck with whatever this is. Thank you, I said. Meant it. He left. I was alone on the side of the road with my broken car and my broken family and the evidence on my phone that my sister was a thief. I could walk away, should walk away, but I'd been walking away my whole life, staying quiet, keeping peace, being invisible, and where had it gotten me? Standing outside. While they celebrated inside. While Victoria wore white, and Blake said vows, and everyone pretended I didn't exist. I looked at the church doors, at the celebration happening without me, and I walked toward them, not fast, not angry, just steady, one step, then another. My car was still smoking behind me. The tow truck was coming. Leo would fix it eventually. But right now, I had somewhere to be. Somewhere I wasn't invited. Somewhere I was going anyway. I stood in the doorway. The organ was still playing. Nobody had noticed me yet. Everyone was watching the altar. Watching Victoria and Blake. Watching the perfect wedding. I took a breath. And I walked inside. I found a seat in the back row. The last pew on the left side, where the light didn't quite reach. Nobody noticed me. Everyone was turned toward the front, watching Victoria and Blake, watching the ceremony begin. Father Dominic stood at the altar. His voice carried through the church. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Victoria Monroe and Blake Hartwell in holy matrimony. I sat very still, hands folded in my lap, breathing carefully. This wasn't the first time Victoria had taken something from me. It was just the biggest. I thought about my 7th birthday. Mom asked me to draw her a picture. I spent hours on it. Drew our family, our house, the dog we'd had, used every crayon in the box. Victoria found it on my desk, took it downstairs, gave it to Mom. I made this for you, Mommy. Mom hung it on the fridge, told everyone Victoria was so artistic, so talented. I stood in the doorway watching. 7 years old. Too young to understand what had happened but old enough to feel it. When I said I drew it, Victoria laughed. You helped, but I did most of it. Mom believed her. Of course she did. Victoria was 10, the responsible one. The one who wouldn't lie. I learned something that day. That truth mattered less than believability. That Victoria's version of events would always win. It happened again in high school. I spent weeks on a science project. Built a model of the solar system. Researched every planet. Wrote a 10-page report. Victoria offered to help me carry it to school. Said she wanted to be a good sister. She carried it into the principal's office instead. Said we'd worked on it together. That she'd done the research while I built the model. The principal gave us both credit. But when colleges asked about it, Victoria put it on her application as her project. Solo, she got into her first choice. I got into my safety school. Mom said I should be happy for her. That sisters support each other. I always was, until I realized she was building her life on the foundation of mine. 3 years ago, I was working at Monroe & Associates, small advertising agency in Boston. I was a junior designer, 26 years old, finally doing work I loved. Blake Hartwell was hired in March, senior copywriter. He was 28, confident, talented, had worked at bigger agencies in New York. I thought he wouldn't notice me. The quiet designer who kept her head down and did good work without fanfare, but he did notice. First day. He brought coffee for everyone. Went around asking what people wanted. When he got to my desk, I was surprised he bothered. What do you drink? Oh, oat milk latte. But you don't have to oat milk latte. Got it. He came back 20 minutes later with my exact order. 1 oat milk latte for Cassandra. Cass. Everyone calls me Cass. Cass. I'm Blake, I know. Welcome to the agency. He smiled, sat on the edge of my desk. What are you working on? I showed him. A campaign for a local restaurant. Nothing fancy, but I'd put thought into it. This is really good. The color palette especially. It feels warm, inviting. Thank you. We should work together sometime. I think we'd make a good team. He was right. We did. Over the next 6 months, we collaborated on everything. Late nights at the office, shared Chinese takeout at midnight, inside jokes about clients. A creative rhythm that felt effortless. Blake asked about my life. Actually listened to the answers. Remembered details. How's your sister doing? The one in grad school. She's fine. Stressed about exams. And your parents? Still in Vermont, New Hampshire. But yes, he saw me. Really saw me. Not as the quiet girl in the corner, but as someone with ideas, opinions, value. We started having lunch together. Just us, talking about work at first. Then other things. Books we loved, movies we hated, places we wanted to travel. Then drinks after work. Started with the group. Then it was just Blake and me. I knew I was falling for him. Tried not to. He was a coworker. It was complicated. But the way he looked at me made it hard to be sensible. One Friday night in September, we were the last ones in the office, working on a pitch for Monday. Everyone else had gone home. We were standing close, looking at my computer screen. I'd just finished a design. Turned to ask his opinion. He was looking at me, not the screen. Me. Cass. Yeah. I really want to kiss you right now. My heart stopped. Oh. But I don't think I should. The timing isn't right. I'm figuring some things out. Career stuff. Life stuff. And I don't want to mess this up by rushing it. I understood. Or I tried to. Okay. But I want you to know, I think about it. About you. A lot. Me too. We stood there for a moment, close enough to touch, not touching. When the timing's right, he said. When I figure things out, can we try this? Really try? Yes, he smiled, squeezed my hand, stepped back. 2 weeks later, he was different, distracted, distant, wouldn't make eye contact. I asked if he was okay, if I'd done something wrong. No, God no. You're perfect. I'm just dealing with some stuff. Do you want to talk about it? Not yet, but soon, I promise. Soon never came. A month after that almost kiss, Blake resigned, said he needed a career change. Needed to figure out what he really wanted. I was supportive, said I understood, asked if we could stay in touch. Of course, I'll call you. We'll get coffee. He never called, never texted, disappeared completely. I spent weeks wondering what I'd done wrong, why he'd pulled away. If the almost kiss had scared him off. Eventually, I moved on, or tried to. Left the agency 6 months later, went freelance, started fresh. I saw his LinkedIn profile once. He'd started a new company. Marketing consulting. Was doing well. I was happy for him. Didn't reach out. Figured he'd moved on with his life. I just didn't know his life included my sister. Growing up in the Monroe household meant learning to be invisible. Warren, my father, avoided conflict. If Victoria and I fought, he'd say, "Girls, work it out," and leave the room. Patricia, my mother, had a favorite. She never said it outright, but it was obvious in every choice, every conversation, every ounce of praise. Victoria got dance lessons. I got we can't afford to activities. Victoria got a car for her 16th birthday. I got you can share with your sister. Victoria got celebrated. I got tolerated. I tried to earn their love. Straight ass. Perfect behavior. Never causing problems. Being the easy child, it never worked. Because Victoria was the golden child. Charming, social, ambitious. Everything they wanted. I was just the quiet one. The one who didn't demand attention. Who faded into the background. Last Thanksgiving, I finally broke. We were at my parents' house. Victoria was talking about her new job. the startup she'd joined, how exciting everything was. I mentioned a project I'd just finished, a campaign I was proud of. Victoria cut me off. That's nice, Cass, but I'm talking about real career advancement, not freelance stuff. Freelance stuff. I worked for 3 months on that project. I'm sure you did. But there's a difference between taking contracts and building a career. My mother nodded. Victoria has a point. Maybe if you'd stayed at the agency, instead of going freelance, you'd have more stability. I went freelance because I wanted creative control. That's fine, dear, but don't be surprised when it's harder to get ahead. I looked at my father, waiting for him to say something, to defend me, to acknowledge my work mattered. He just cut another piece of turkey. That night, I left early, told them I had a headache, drove home crying. I started reducing contact after that. Fewer phone calls, shorter visits, building distance. Nobody reached out. Nobody asked why. Victoria controlled the narrative, told everyone I was being difficult, going through a phase, and they believed her, like they always did. 6 months ago, everything came apart. I got a call from my biggest client, a woman named Sarah, who owned a boutique hotel. Cassandra, I need to talk to you about something disturbing. What's wrong? Someone approached me with a pitch. For a complete rebrand, they presented concepts that looked exactly like the ones you created for me. My stomach dropped. What? The person presenting them was named Victoria Monroe. When I asked if she knew you, she said you were her sister, that you'd collaborated on these designs. Sarah, I never collaborated with Victoria on anything. Those are my designs, solely mine. I thought so. But she's claiming she improved them, made them more marketable. She's even offering to do the rebrand at a lower rate than you charged. She's trying to steal my client. I wanted you to know, I'm not working with her. But I thought you should be aware. After I hung up, I pulled up Victoria's LinkedIn. Something I rarely did because it made me feel inadequate. There it was, her portfolio. Posted publicly. Every image was mine. Every campaign. Every design. Work I'd created. Copyrighted, put my signature on. All presented as hers. I called her, hands shaking. Hey, Cass, what's up? I just got a call from Sarah, about you trying to steal my client with my own work. Silence. Victoria, you stole my portfolio. I didn't steal anything. I used some of your concepts, refined them, made them better. Those are my designs. My copyrighted work. You can't just take them. I can prove I improved them. Added value. If you're upset because I made them more marketable, that's not my problem. You stole from me. That's theft. That's illegal. Good luck proving it. I have the connections, the reputation. You're just a freelancer working out of your apartment. Who's going to believe you? Mom and Dad will. She laughed. Will they? Because last time I checked, they pretty much take my word on everything. I called them anyway. Told them what happened. Mom's response. Victoria wouldn't do that. You must be mistaken. Dad's response. Let's not make this ugly. Family stays family. Can't you two work it out? She stole my work, my career, my clients. I'm sure it's a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding, but nobody cared enough to verify that. Victoria cut me off completely after that, blocked my number, uninvited me from family events, told everyone I was being paranoid and jealous, and my family believed her, because they always did. While I was lost in memories, someone approached, a man in his 50s, familiar face. Cassandra, is that you? I looked up. Martin Fowler, my old boss from Monroe and Associates. Martin, hi. What are you doing here? My car broke down, right outside. I didn't know there was a wedding until I got out. You didn't know. His expression shifted. About Victoria and Blake. No, nobody told me. Jesus, I thought for sure you'd be here. He sat down next to me. I thought you should know something. What? About the company Blake works for. Hartwell and Associates. What about it? Victoria used your portfolio to get her position there. Blake was on the hiring committee. He saw the designs, thought they were hers. That's why they hired her. The church felt too small, too hot. He doesn't know they're mine. I don't think so. Victoria's been careful. But I recognized your style immediately. I have copies of your original files if you need proof. Timestamps, metadata, everything. Everything clicked into place. Victoria hadn't just stolen Blake. She'd stolen my work to impress him. Built her entire career on my designs. Made him fall for talent that wasn't hers. Why are you here? I asked. At the wedding Victoria invited me. Probably didn't think I'd talk to you. He looked toward the altar. I'm sorry, Cassandra. For what she did. For what they're all doing. Before I could respond, the church doors opened again. Ruby, my best friend, 28, photographer, fierce, loyal. She saw me immediately, hurried down the aisle. Sat down hard beside. I stood in the middle aisle. Not moving forward. Not running away. Just standing. The ceremony paused. Father Dominic looked up from his book. Noticed the disturbance. Guests began turning in their seats. Whispers started. Soft at first, then louder. Who is that? Is that Victoria's sister? What's she doing here? I thought she wasn't invited. The whispers spread like a wave through the church, row by row, person by person. Until the whole congregation was looking at me instead of the altar. Victoria was mid-sentence, saying something about love and commitment. Her voice faltered. She sensed the shift in the room. She looked over her shoulder. Saw me standing there, her face drained of color. The bouquet in her hands trembled slightly. Blake noticed. Victoria, are you okay? She recovered quickly. The way she always did. Smile back in place. Voice steady. Yes, sorry, just emotional. Where was I? But the damage was done. Everyone had seen her reaction. The shock, the fear. People were still whispering, still pointing discreetly. My mother looked back. Her face was furious. My father looked confused. Father Dominic cleared his throat. Perhaps we should continue. Victoria nodded. Turned back to Blake. But I could see her shoulders were tense. Her perfect composure cracking. The ceremony went on. Father Dominic spoke about marriage. About partnership. About building a life together. I stayed where I was. Ruby was still in the back row. Martin too, both watching, both ready. Then Father Dominic reached the traditional part. The question that's usually met with silence. If anyone here knows any reason why these two should not be married, speak now or forever hold your peace. The church went quiet. That heavy, expectant, quiet. My heart was pounding. Ruby had her hand on her camera. But I wasn't planning to speak. I was just here to witness. To exist. Then someone stood up. Martin Fowler. In the back row on the opposite side from Ruby and me. Father, I have something to say. Gasps rippled through the church. Victoria's eyes went wide. Blake looked confused. Father Dominic hesitated. Sir, this is highly irregular, I understand. But the foundation of marriage is honesty. And there's been a significant deception here. Victoria's voice was sharp. That's a lie. How dare you interrupt? Blake Hartwell doesn't know the work that made him fall in love with Victoria wasn't hers. The church exploded. Guests shouting, Victoria yelling. Patricia standing up. Warren trying to calm people down. Blake just stood there. What are you talking about? Martin stayed calm, authoritative. Like he was presenting to a boardroom. The portfolio Victoria presented when she applied to your company was created by her sister, Cassandra Monroe. I was their supervisor at Monroe & Associates. I have the original files, time-stamped, copyrighted in Cassandra's name. Blake looked around, searching. Sister, Victoria, you have a sister. Yes, but she's not Weir. Not this is insane. Where is she? Multiple people pointed, at me. Standing in the middle aisle. Blake's eyes followed the pointing fingers. He saw me. Really saw me for the first time in 3 years. Recognition dawned slowly. Cass, you're Victoria's sister. I didn't move. Didn't speak. Just met his eyes. Victoria grabbed his arm. Blake, this is crazy. Don't listen to him. He's lying. Blake pulled away gently. Started walking toward me. Down the steps from the altar. Through the rows of shocked guests. Victoria followed. Blake, wait, let me explain. He stopped in front of me, looked at my face like he was seeing it for the first time. You never told me you had a sister. You never asked about my family. We kept things professional. Is it true? About the portfolio? I took a breath. Yes, the designs, the strategy, the branding concepts Victoria presented to your company. They're all mine. I've been a designer for 8 years. She studied marketing. She doesn't create. She takes. Victoria pushed between us. That is such bullshit. You're just jealous. You've always been jealous of me. I stayed calm. I have the original files. Timestamped. What? Witnesses from the agency who saw me create every piece. I can prove it. Blake turned to Victoria. You told me you created that portfolio. That it was your breakthrough work. I adapted her ideas. Made them better, more marketable. You said they were yours. Blake, please, this is our wedding day. You lied to me. I improved them. She wasn't doing anything with them. I made them successful. Blake stepped back, looked between us. I could see him noticing it now. The resemblance, the same eyes, same cheekbones. How had he missed it? At the agency, he said slowly, we worked together. We were close. Why didn't you tell me about your family? You never asked. And honestly, I don't talk about them much. Our relationship is complicated. Complicated, he repeated. Then to Victoria. When we met, at that conference 18 months ago, you said you'd heard about me, that your sister had mentioned me. Victoria went pale. You used her name, Blake said. Used Cass's name to make a connection with me. Then you showed me a portfolio of her work and claimed it was yours. Blake, everything. Everything was based on a lie. Victoria started crying. Real tears now. No, I love you. That's real. This is just, ... This is complicated. You stole from your sister. You lied to me. You built our entire relationship on theft and lies. My mother appeared, pushing through the crowd. Cassandra, how could you ruin your sister's special day? I looked at her. Really looked at her. I didn't ruin anything, Mom. I wasn't even supposed to be here. My car broke down outside. This is family business. This should be private. It should have been, but you all chose Victoria's version of reality over mine. You let her steal from me. You let her erase me. And now it's public because she chose to build her life on stolen work. Aunt Delilah stepped forward. Patricia, you knew about this. You knew Victoria took Cassandra's work. I heard you two arguing about it months ago. My mother's face went red. That's not we were just. You were protecting the wrong daughter. Victoria was unraveling now. The perfect bride facade, cracking completely fine. Yes, I used her designs, but she wasn't doing anything with them. She's not ambitious. She doesn't know how to sell herself. I took something that was going nowhere and made it successful. I made us successful. Blake's voice was quiet, deadly quiet. You lied to me. Every single day, about who you are. I am talented. I am successful. The work is part of me now. It was never yours to take. Victoria turned on me. All her rage finding its target. This is your fault. You always had to be the victim. You couldn't just let me have one thing. Something in me snapped. The anger I'd been holding back for 29 years. One thing. You've taken everything. My work, my career, my relationships, my family. And now you want sympathy because I exist in the same space as you. You weren't invited. No, I wasn't invited to my own sister's wedding. To a man I cared about, who's building his career on my work. You're right, I wasn't invited. But I'm here anyway. Blake looked at Father Dominic. The old priest was standing at the altar, looking overwhelmed. Father, I can't do this. I'm sorry. Son, perhaps you all need some time too. No, I can't marry someone I don't know, and I don't know her. He walked past Victoria. Past me, out the side door of the church. Victoria screamed after him. Blake, wait, we can fix this. She ran. Wedding dress trailing behind her. Bridesmaids scrambling to follow. The church erupted into chaos. Guests arguing. Family members taking sides. Some people leaving. Others crowding forward to see what would happen next. I stood in the eye of the storm, not moving. Ruby appeared beside me, camera in hand. She'd documented everything. Aunt Delilah pushed through the crowd, hugged me. I'm sorry. I should have stood up for you sooner. It's okay. I'm standing up for myself now. My father approached. He looked older suddenly, tired. Cassandra, we need to talk about this. As a family, we needed to talk about it 6 months ago, Dad, when I told you Victoria stole my work, but you chose not to listen. I was trying to keep the peace. You were avoiding the truth. There's a difference. Patricia was still near the altar, surrounded by relatives, defending Victoria, explaining, making excuses, same as always. Warren looked at me, at his wife, at the chaos around us. I don't know how to fix this. You can't. It's been broken for a long time. We all just pretended it wasn't. Outside, I could hear Victoria still calling for Blake, her voice getting more desperate, more frantic. Ruby squeezed my hand. You okay? I don't know. I didn't want this to happen. You didn't make it happen. The truth did. Martin joined us. I'm sorry if I overstepped, but someone needed to say something. Thank you for telling the truth, even when it was hard. You deserved that much. People were starting to leave now. The wedding that wasn't. Guests filing out. Some giving me sympathetic looks. Others glaring like this was all my fault. My mother finally looked at me. From across the church, our eyes met. I waited for something. An apology, recognition, anything. She looked away first. Let's go, Ruby said. Your car's fixed. Leo texted. It's out front. Already. Apparently it just needed a new battery. Quick fix. I almost laughed. Of course. The car that had brought me here. That had broken down at exactly the right moment. It was fine now. We walked toward the exit. Past family members who didn't know what to say. Past the flowers and candles and all the trappings of a wedding that would never be. Outside, the sun was bright, almost blinding after the dim church. Victoria was in the parking lot. Still in her wedding dress. Blake's car was gone. He'd left. Her bridesmaids were trying to comfort her, but she kept pushing them away. She saw me. Our eyes met across the parking lot. For a moment, I thought she might say something, apologize, explain something, but she just turned away, collapsed onto the ground, started sobbing. My mother rushed to her, knelt beside her, wrapped her arms around her, chose her. Even now, we drove. I sat in the passenger seat staring out the window, not speaking, not crying, just breathing. Where do you want to go? She asked. Not home, not yet. My place. Yeah, if that's okay. Of course. We drove in silence. The roads were familiar, trees blurring past, other cars with other people living other lives. Normal Saturday afternoon, for everyone but me. Ruby's apartment was small, cozy, books everywhere, photography equipment in the corner, a space that felt safe. You want something to eat? Drink? Water? Please. She brought me a glass. I drank it without tasting it. You can stay here as long as you need, Ruby said. Guest rooms, all yours. Thank you. Do you want to talk about it? I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. We sat on her couch. She put on a movie, something light, something that didn't require thinking. I stared at the screen without seeing it. Around midnight, Ruby turned it off. You should sleep. I don't think I can. Try. I'll be right here if you need anything. I went to the guest room, lay on the bed, fully clothed, stared at the ceiling. My phone was in my purse. I'd turned it off at the church. Didn't turn it back on. I finally fell asleep around 3. The week that followed was strange. Disconnected, like I was watching my life happen to someone else. I went back to my apartment on Monday. Ruby drove me, walked me inside, made sure I was okay before leaving. Call me, anytime. I mean it. I will. I tried to work, opened my laptop, stared at design files, couldn't focus. My phone rang constantly. I didn't answer, let it go to voicemail. Listened to the messages later. Clients, asking if it was true. If the rumors were real. If I was the sister from the church. Word was spreading. Small business community in Boston. Everyone knew everyone. Gossip traveled fast. Some messages were supportive. I always knew your work was incredible. I'm sorry this happened. Others were judgmental. This is a family matter. It should have stayed private. I didn't respond to any of them. On Wednesday, Martin called. I answered that one. Cassandra. How are you holding up? I don't know. Surviving, I guess. I wanted you to know. Victoria is no longer at Hartwell and Associates. Blake terminated her position Monday morning. Oh, and he's reached out to several people in the industry, acknowledged that the portfolio he'd been crediting to Victoria was actually yours. He's trying to set the record straight. That's good. It is. Your reputation is intact. Better than intact, actually. People are impressed. That you stood up for yourself. I didn't mean to make a scene. You didn't make a scene. You just stopped being invisible. There's a difference. After we hung up, I sat with that. Stopped being invisible. It sounded so simple. But it had taken 29 years. Thursday, my mother called. I stared at her name on the screen, let it ring 4 times. Almost didn't answer, but I did. Hello, Cassandra. Finally, I've been trying to reach you for days. I know, we need to talk about your sister. Okay, she's devastated. She lost Blake. She lost her job. Her reputation is ruined. All because of what happened at the church. I know. Silence. Like my mother was waiting for something. Guilt. Maybe. Remorse. Don't you feel any responsibility for that? No, Mom, I don't. She made choices. She stole from me. She lied to everyone. These are consequences. But she's your sister. Family forgives. Family also tells the truth. Respects boundaries. Gives credit where it's due. She didn't do any of that. So you're just going to abandon her. When she needs you most. She abandoned me years ago. She just did it while standing right next to me. I don't understand you sometimes. I know, you never have. More silence. Longer this time. Your father and I think you should apologize. Make amends. Try to repair the family. For what? For existing. For having my car break down. For refusing to stay invisible. For ruining her wedding. I closed my eyes. Mom, I'm going to say this once. I didn't ruin anything. Victoria built her life on lies and theft. It collapsed under its own weight. I was just there when it happened. That's not how she sees it. I know, but that's not my problem anymore. Cassandra, I have to go. Goodbye, Mom. I hung up. Turned my phone off. Sat in the quiet of my apartment. My father called separately. A week after the wedding. I almost didn't answer that one either, but I did. Cass, it's Dad. Hi, I wanted to check on you. See how you're doing. I'm okay. Working, healing. Your mother is worried about you. She's worried about Victoria. She's worried about both of you. This has torn our family apart. The family was already torn apart. Dad, you all just didn't notice because I was quietly dealing with it. He sighed, heavy, tired. I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. About the portfolio, about Victoria. I was wrong. Those words. I'd waited my whole life to hear them. Thank you. That means a lot. Can we try to fix this? As a family, that depends. Are you going to keep choosing sides? Or are you going to see both of us clearly? I want to see both of you. Really see you. I realize I haven't been. Then maybe. But it's going to take time, and honesty. And accountability from everyone. I understand. I'll try. I promise I'll try. Okay, Dad. We hung up. I cried quietly. Not from sadness. From something else. Relief, maybe. Or the beginning of hope. 2 weeks after the wedding, a letter arrived. The envelope was handwritten. Victoria's handwriting. Postmarked from Portland, Oregon. I stared at it for a long time, debating. Ruby was over. Saw me holding it. You don't have to read it if you're not ready. I think I need to. I opened it carefully. 4 pages. Handwritten, messy in places. Like she'd been crying while writing. Cass. It started. I don't know how to start this. Sorry doesn't feel like enough, but I am. I'm so sorry for taking your work, for lying, for cutting you out of my life, for everything. I've been in therapy 3 times a week, trying to understand why I did what I did. My therapist says I've been competitive with you since we were kids, that I felt invisible compared to you. I know that sounds crazy. Everyone always says I was mom's favorite. But I felt like I had to perform constantly. Had to be perfect, and you were just ... you. Effortlessly kind, talented, real. I resented that. I'm not making excuses. What I did was wrong, unforgivable, probably. But I need you to know it wasn't about hurting you. It was about me being broken and not knowing how to fix myself without tearing you down. Blake and I are done. Obviously, I moved to Portland, starting over. I got a job at a bookstore. Nothing glamorous. Minimum wage. But I'm trying to figure out who I am without stealing from you. It's hard. Harder than I thought. Turns out I don't know who I am when I'm not pretending to be you. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know, I see what I did now. I see you now, and I'm sorry. You deserved a better sister, a better family. People who saw you for who you are. I hope someday you can be happy. Even if that means I'm not part of your life. Love, Victoria. I read it 3 times. Cried through all 3 readings. Ruby sat next to me. What are you going to do? I don't know. I'm not ready to respond yet. Maybe I never will be. That's okay. You don't owe her anything. I know, but part of me wants to. Wants to believe she can change. Then wait. See if she actually changes. Words are easy. Actions matter. You're right. I put the letter in my desk drawer. Didn't respond. Didn't forgive. But didn't throw it away either. 3 weeks after the wedding, Blake texted. I know this is weird. But can we meet? For coffee. I want to apologize properly. I stared at the message for an hour. Finally texted Ruby. Blake wants to meet. Is this a bad idea? Probably. But you're an adult. You decide. I met him at a neutral coffee shop, midway between both our neighborhoods. Afternoon on a Thursday. Public safe. He was already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table, looking nervous. Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't. I owe you an apology. A real one. I fell for Victoria because I saw your work and thought it was hers. Everything about our relationship was built on something stolen from you. That's unforgivable. You didn't know. I should have. I knew you at the agency. I knew your style, your voice. I should have recognized it. Maybe you saw what you wanted to see. She's very good at showing people what they want. That's generous. More generous than I deserve. We sat in silence for a moment. The coffee shop hummed around us. Other conversations. Other lives. At the agency, Blake said quietly, when we almost... Why did we never... You said the timing wasn't right. Then you disappeared. I was confused. About my feelings. About what I wanted from my career. Victoria contacted me right after I quit. Told me about an opportunity. Showed me the portfolio. It felt like a sign. It was a trap. Yeah, I see that now. More silence. Is there any chance? Blake said. Could we try again? Now that everything's out in the open? No, he blinked. That was fast. Blake, you're a good person. But you chose Victoria. Chose ambition. Chose the easy path over asking hard questions. I'm not angry, but I don't trust you. And I don't want to rebuild something that was never actually built. I understand. I wish things had been different. Me too, but they weren't. And that's okay. For what it's worth, your work is incredible. It always was. You didn't need her to make it good. You didn't need anyone. I'm starting to believe that. We finished our coffee. Parted as something that wasn't quite friends. Wasn't quite strangers. Just 2 people who'd almost had something once, and now didn't. I walked out of the coffee shop feeling lighter. Not because I'd forgiven him, but because I'd stopped carrying the weight of what might have been. A month after the wedding, my business was thriving. Clients who'd questioned me had seen the truth. New clients reached out. Peaks months later, spring arrived in Boston, April morning. Sunlight streaming through my apartment windows. I was at my desk working on a design for a new client. A boutique hotel in Cambridge. My third project with them. Business was good. Better than good. Steady clients. New projects every week. My portfolio had been featured in a design magazine last month. Cassandra Monroe, finding her voice. Ruby stopped by around 11. Brought coffee and pastries. Look at you, she said, setting everything on my desk. Success suits you. It feels different this time. Like it's actually mine. That's because it is. No one can take it from you now. We sat on my couch, drank coffee, talked about upcoming projects, about the gallery show Ruby was planning, about normal things. Good things. My phone rang. I glanced at it. My father. You can answer, Ruby said. I'll give you privacy. No, stay, it's fine, I answered. Hi Dad, Cassandra, how are you? Good. Working? What's up? Thanksgiving is coming. Your mother and I are having dinner. Victoria is coming home for a few days. We'd like you to come too. I took a breath. Dad, I appreciate the invitation, but I'm not ready for that yet. I understand. But I want you to know, the door is open, when you're ready. Thank you, that means something. How have you been, really? Really, I'm good. Better than I've been in a long time. My business is thriving. I have people in my life who see me. Support me. It's enough. I'm glad. You deserve that. How's Victoria? She's okay. Still in Portland. Still working at the bookstore. She's in therapy. Taking things one day at a time. That's good. She asks about you sometimes. If you're doing well, what do you tell her? That you are. That you're building a life. That you're happy. I am. We talked for a few more minutes. Nothing deep. Just checking in. When we hung up, Ruby looked at me. You okay? Yeah. It's getting easier. Talking to him. What about Thanksgiving? I'm not ready for that. Maybe next year. Maybe never. But I'm okay with it either way. Where are you going? Aunt Delilah invited me. She's having a small dinner. Just the people who supported me. You're invited to. I wouldn't miss it. Thanksgiving came. I spent it at Delilah's house. Small gathering. Ruby, Martin, a few cousins who'd reached out after the wedding. People who saw what happened and chose my side. Or more accurately, chose the truth. We ate turkey and stuffing and pie. Talked about everything except the wedding. It felt right. Like family should feel. Chosen, supportive. Real. December arrived. Winter in Boston. Cold but beautiful. I decorated my apartment for the first time in years. Put up a small tree. Hung lights. Made the space mine. Really mine. Christmas morning, I woke up to texts from people I loved. Ruby, Martin, Delilah, some cousins, a few close friends, and one from my father. Merry Christmas, Cassandra. We love you. The door is still open. I texted back. Merry Christmas, Dad. Thank you. Maybe soon. I meant it. Maybe soon, but not yet. January brought new projects. A redesign for a restaurant. Branding for a startup. Work that challenged me. Work I was proud of. February, I got an email. From Blake. Subject line, just wanted you to know. I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. Cass, I know we're not in touch, and I respect that. But I wanted you to know that I've been working with an attorney. We've been reviewing all the work Victoria did while at my company. Separating what was hers from what was yours. We found more of your designs. Things I didn't even realize she'd taken. I'm having everything properly credited. Your name, your copyright, all of it. I'm also donating to a scholarship fund in your name. For young designers who need support. I can't undo what happened. But I can try to make something good come from it. I hope you're well. I hope you're happy. Blake, I read it twice. Then forwarded it to my lawyer. She'd handle the copyright issues. Make sure everything was legal and binding. Then I responded. Blake, thank you for doing the right thing. The scholarship is a good idea. I appreciate it. I hope you're well too. Cass short, professional. Closure without reopening wounds. March came. 1 year since everything had started falling apart with Victoria. 1 year since I'd discovered the stolen portfolio. 10 months since the wedding that wasn't. I was different now. Stronger, more certain, more visible. One Saturday afternoon in late March, I decided to drive. No destination. Just driving. I found myself on Route 117, the same road, heading toward the same small town. Ruby was with me. We'd spent the morning at a coffee shop, talking, planning, being friends. Where are we going? She asked. I don't know, just driving, but I did know. Part of me knew. I drove past familiar landmarks. Trees I recognized. Turns I remembered, and then I saw it. St. Catherine's Church. White clapboard, small and perfect. There was a wedding happening. Different couple. Different flowers. Different life. I slowed down. Pulled over to the side of the road. The same spot where my car had died. Ruby looked at me. You okay? Yeah, I was just thinking. About that day. 6 months ago, when my car broke down right here. Best worst thing that ever happened to you. How so? Because it forced me to stop. To see. To exist in a space I wasn't supposed to be in. And that changed everything. Do you regret it? Any of it? The pain, yes. The loss, sometimes. But the truth, no. I don't regret the truth. We sat there for a moment, watching the wedding guests arrive. Watching someone else's perfect day. What would you say to her? Ruby asked. To Victoria. If you could say anything. I don't know. Maybe that I forgive her. Or maybe that I don't. Maybe that it doesn't matter anymore. She's living her life. I'm living mine. And that's enough. Have you responded to her letter? No. I still have it. But I'm not ready. You might never be. I know. And that's okay too. My phone buzzed. A new email. Client inquiry. Someone who'd seen my work. Wanted to hire me for a major project. I smiled. Opened it. Read the details. Good news. Ruby asked. Very good news. I put the car in drive, pulled back onto the road, drove past the church without stopping. In my rearview mirror, I saw the bride getting out of her car. White dress, happy smile. Beginning her day. I hoped it went better than Victoria's had. Hoped it was built on truth instead of lies. But mostly, I just hoped she was happy. I drove on. Away from the church. Away from the past. Toward whatever came next. Ruby turned on the radio. Music filled the car. Something upbeat. Something that made me want to sing along. You know what I realized? I said, what? I spent 29 years trying to fit into a family that didn't have room for me. Trying to be small enough that they wouldn't find me inconvenient, quiet enough that they wouldn't find me annoying, invisible enough that they could pretend I wasn't there. And now I take up space. I speak up. I exist loudly. And if they don't like it, that's their problem, not mine. I'm proud of you. Thanks. I'm proud of me too. We drove through the afternoon. Stopped for lunch at a diner we'd never been to. Ordered too much food. Laughed at stupid things. Lived. Later that evening, I got home. Made tea. Sat at my desk. I pulled out Victoria's letter. The one from Portland. The one I'd read a dozen times but never answered. I got out a piece of paper. Started writing. Victoria, I got your letter. I've read it many times. I appreciate your honesty, your apology, your acknowledgement of what you did. I'm not ready to forgive you. Maybe I never will be. But I don't hate you either. I just... I need space. Time. Distance. You're working on yourself. That's good. Keep doing that. Not for me. For you. I'm working on myself too. Building a life. A career. A self that doesn't need your approval, or mom's, or anyone's. Maybe someday we'll talk. Maybe we'll rebuild something. But not today. Not yet. I hope you find what you're looking for. I hope you figure out who you are. But I need you to know that I've figured out who I am. And that person doesn't need you anymore. Take care of yourself, Cass. I read it over. Changed a few words. Made it honest. Not cruel. Not kind. Just true. Then I folded it. Put it in an envelope. addressed it to Portland. I'd email it tomorrow, or maybe next week. Or maybe I'd keep it in a drawer and never send it. But I'd written it, and that was enough. My phone rang. Ruby, hey, I was just thinking, we should take a trip, somewhere new, somewhere you've never been. Like where? I don't know. Pick a place, anywhere. Barcelona. I've always wanted to go. The architecture, the art, the food. Barcelona it is. I'll look at flights. We hung up. I opened my laptop. Started looking at images of Barcelona. Beautiful buildings, colorful streets, a city I'd never seen, a future I got to choose. 6 months ago, my car broke down in front of a church. I discovered my sister's betrayal. I lost my family's approval. I ruined a wedding. But I gained something more valuable. I gained myself. The version of me that doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. That doesn't disappear to keep the peace. That doesn't apologize for existing. My sister stole my work. My ex chose ambition over integrity. My family chose comfort over truth. And I chose me. For the first time in 29 years, I chose me. The car breaking down wasn't bad luck. It was the universe saying stop hiding, stop disappearing, stop letting them erase you. Sometimes the worst moments are the ones that save you. Sometimes you have to break down to break free. I got up alone that day, stood alone in that church, drove away alone. But I'm not alone anymore. I have Ruby, Martin, Delilah, clients who respect me, friends who see me, a life that's mine, and that's more than enough. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been the invisible one, the overlooked one, the one whose accomplishments were stolen or ignored, please like this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear that their presence matters, that their voice matters, that they don't have to stay invisible to keep the peace. Comment below with your own story of choosing yourself, of standing up, of refusing to disappear. Remember, family should build you up, not tear you down. Success that's stolen isn't success, and being visible isn't selfish, it's survival. Thank you for listening to my story. I got up alone that day in front of that church, but I'm not alone anymore, and neither are you.